I mean, I think when you're working with non-actors, I think it's kind of important to adapt things
Yeah,
around them because, I think the saying goes that with non-actors, they're mostly playing themselves,
yeah.
and more professionally trained actors can inhabit and change into other characters. And so with I think we did that a lot with Mario. We kind of changed not the story as much, but the situations and details about fishing, about the character around Mario, rather than
Exactly.
yeah the other way around, just to
Well,
make it to support him. And I think that it's important as a director to um, always be supporting your actors.
did he bring things that changed your vision for his character? Because he is an experienced fisherman.
Yeah, I mean, I also think I imagined, and this shows my complete and total ignorance. I imagined the fisherman character, because he's kind of a sad, lonely character, as being a little bit frail, a little bit feeble. And then every fisherman I met in Costa Rica is the buffest, strongest person I've ever met in my
Yeah,
entire life. There's one shot in the movie
six
where,
packs.
yeah, I mean, literally, and
Truly.
which makes sense because they're working on the
And
ocean
they've
all
got
day.
these big
But
nets they have to
even,
pull in.
the older fishermen, the one in their 70s, were
Mm.
ripped. And
Yeah.
so there's a shot in the movie where Mario has an axe and cuts a branch off a tree, and it's just one swoop, and the branch is just gone.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my, it's, yeah. And
That's
so,
so
Okay.
cool.
yeah. And
That,
so it did change my vision a little bit, but I was, happy to, you know, make it feel more authentic. We were
yeah.
shooting in real fishermen's homes, not Mario's home, but other fishermen named Don Rafa, Don Geraldo, lovely fishermen who, in the town of Tarcolis, saw what we were doing, were interested in working with us, and either approached us or we approached them to, shoot in their homes and work with the community of fishermen and of just people living in Tarcolis. And there was a real like collaborative spirit and effort
I
there.
think more than anything, they brought authenticity. And
Realism.
when we've shown this movie to people who are from Costa Rica who live there, they have said that this feels very grounded. It doesn't feel like some kind of, or presenting as some kind of exotic locale. Like it feels like life in Costa Rica, and that's what
Yeah.
we wanted.
And I think that, like, when a lot of people, especially who aren't from Latin America, hear about Costa Rica, they kind of envision it as this sort of like tropical paradise. In some ways, it is a gorgeous, beautiful country, but, in other ways, it is just like, a place where people live like anywhere else. And I was really determined to try to make the film feel not objective, because I don't think it's possible to be objective when you're making a movie, but to not feel romanticized in a way, to feel kind of like presenting it as it is.
Yeah.
The incredible Isaac Banks, who is a world-class cinematographer. He shot everything I ever made in college, and also shoots for Isabel Sandoval, is an incredible DP. We talked when we were shooting the film about kind of two different modes for each part of the story. For the first half, about Alex's character, about the marine biologist, we talked about not doing any handheld cinematography at all, and trying to remain in wider shots and wider vistas to kind of like isolate this character in this kind of wide countryside, imagery.
Yeah.
And for the second half of the film, it's a little bit more up close and personal with the characters. There's more close-ups. There's more handheld cinematography, to kind of make it feel a little bit more like emotionally grounded in a way.
Is this with the fisherman?
Yeah, with the
The second
fisherman.
half. That
Yeah,
makes
the second
sense.
half of
Okay.
the film.
What's the unusual shoot?
We shot it
shooting?
on a 360-degree camera,
Okay.
which is not going to be presented in 360 degrees. It's not going to be a virtual movie. It's going to be flattened out into a
Wow.
2D image.
Very distorted footage, very unusual camera movements, all to match this woman who's dealing with her own memory troubles. And so as her memory and her thinking is distorted, the footage is also pretty warped.
That's so cool. What's it called? Can you?
It's called de novo.
Yes.
She came up with the title.
De novo.
De novo.
It's a
What's that
term. It's a term in a lot of different fields. I asked a friend who's a doctor, a friend who's a lawyer, a friend who's a banker. I asked, "Do you know this term de novo?" And they each have their own definition of how it relates to their industry. But across the board, it tends to mean like out of nothing or new or from nowhere.
Okay.
It's this woman who has like kind of total memory loss, and so it's out of nothing. It's from nowhere.
Just happen.
Yeah.
Does it happen randomly?
We don't know because it starts with the memory loss, so we don't know
Okay.
really anything about her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with the sound design, I mean, another person I worked with in college, or didn't work with him in college, but we knew each other in college and wanted to work together, named Alex Nomick, is an incredible sound designer.
So lucky.
Worked with an incredible mixer named Alexander Markowski, 2 Alexes, plus the lead actress of the film is
three
also named Alex.
Alexes, yeah.
3 Alexes in the movie. But with the sound design, it's very, very subjective in a lot of ways. It's really like in these characters' heads. And, you know, they just did an absolutely incredible job. You know, shooting an indie movie, you know, you don't always get a choice of where you're shooting. Sometimes you're near a big highway and you have no choice that just hear all these cars, and somehow these sound designers and mixers can make those cars magically go away.
And
Magicians.
yeah,
I know.
truly.
I think they're alchemists and they're absolutely incredible.
And our composer Dylan Marks is also unbelievably talented.
Yeah.
And we approached music in a similar way, where the two halves are very different tonally.
Yeah.
He composed both halves.
Yeah, with the first half of the film, there's more of an emphasis on electronic instruments, and with the second half of the movie, there's more of an emphasis on acoustic instruments.
Okay.
Yeah.
How come?
Well, I think because of like the folktale element of the second half, I thought the acoustic instruments made sense to kind of make it feel a little bit more like an older folktale from kind of, you know, hundreds, if not 1,000 years ago or something, even though it's set in the modern era.
Yeah.
Just kind of bringing this older feeling to it. And with the electronic instruments, kind of not like an artificiality, but more kind of like a little bit of a, maybe I would say artificiality.
Well,
to
she's
like,
so abstracted. She's
Yeah.
so in her head.
so less grounded in
Yeah.
reality in a way, because she is, as Annie was saying, she's very in her head. She's very like abstracted about the kinds of things that she's interested in and the desire that she has, this kind of unknowable drive to find this magical fish.
What does it mean to you being at Raindance Film Festival?
I'm so excited.
It's really incredible being at Raindance Film Festival. I mean, Raindance is a festival that's really, really like put their money where their mouth is when it comes to kind of supporting filmmakers that are emerging, that, you know, maybe don't have incredibly famous people in their films, and that doesn't matter to them. Like kind of what matters to them are kind of like original movies, original ideas, like genuinely independent cinema. And I think that's incredible. A lot of film festivals aren't interested in that kind of film. And Raindance, I think, being able to simultaneously be a huge film festival and also be really supportive of like new voices is rare. And I think that's really, really special. One of the really special
So
things
true.
about Raindance.
And what would you like audiences to take away from your film?
I am aware that Pescador is a little bit abstracted in some of its story and themes, but I think that the movie is more like an emotional journey. I think that kind of if the audience is able to kind of get on board with these characters, I think that they will go through kind of an emotional roller coaster with the film. And I want them to kind of connect with this feeling of like loneliness, isolation, but also kind of like what it means to connect with somebody. I think in a post-COVID world, you know, COVID was such a lonely, isolating time for so many people. I think that like that still has a lot of ramifications and remnants post-COVID. And I think there's still a lot of loneliness and isolation, you know, post-COVID.
It's an epidemic.
Yeah,
Loneliness.
I know. And I think the movie kind of talks about the risks we take to connect with another person, and both the positive and negative aspects of that.
Yeah.
I would say don't treat the movie like a riddle, treat it like a song. I see sometimes people trying to like figure out what it means, or especially what Harry's intention was with a certain plot point, and I think more about how you feel and what it means to you, versus trying to figure out precise reasons.